Nick Fortuna, and in Washington, Hans von Spakovsky, a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation and a former Justice Department official.
Well, Nick, congressional Democrats are calling for immediate hearings in the House of Representatives, but you just heard Hans. The president has the right to change the attorney general. The new AG has the right to make himself familiar with the investigation. What is there to investigate here?
Well, they're going to look at why he changed the attorney general, what the conversations were between Trump and Whitaker, which is Matthew Whitaker is now the acting attorney general. They want to see if it supports obstruction of justice charges, if there's any kind of quid pro quo in asking him to be the acting attorney general in exchange for putting some pressure on the Mueller investigation, whether or not to terminate it or to reduce the amount of funds or cut off funds for the Mueller investigation. I do agree with Hans, though. It would be very difficult for him to just out-and-out stop the investigation. Under the regulation where Mueller was appointed, the only way to dismiss him is for misconduct or something unethical, and there's no indication of that at this point. So I think it would be difficult for him to substantially stop the investigation in its tracks at this point. I agree with you. He does have a lot of power over the investigation, but there are counters to that. There's nothing that prevents Robert Mueller from going public with his findings if the investigation's terminated or funds are cut off to him or they prevent him from further investigating the president. He could go public. He could be called to testify at Congress. The Democrats are taking over the House in January, so he could be called and give his findings at that time. So they have to be careful. They can't fully control what Mueller knows and prevent it from becoming public. So doing that, I think, would be a mistake, both politically and strategically. That's why I don't think it'll be terminated in such a rash way. Also, I kind of disagree that the appointment of Matthew Whitaker doesn't help the case or doesn't suggest obstruction of justice. That alone, I agree, is not criminal. But of all the things that Trump has said publicly about the attorney general, seeking to have him prosecute or investigate his political adversaries, trying to use the Justice Department, which is supposed to be an independent agency, independent from the executive branch, for political purposes, this would suggest having someone with such a close relationship, someone who wasn't confirmed by the Senate to take over the investigation, might be problematic for the president.
Nick, is that a political attack or is there some legitimate legal argument there?
I think it's a political attack. And also, you know, look at what we're focused on. We're focused on just the Mueller investigation. That's the only reason Jeff Sessions was fired. He put in place a very conservative prosecutorial agenda. He changed the policies of the Justice Department to comply with conservative Republican ideals. There isn't anyone in Republican circles that had a complaint about Jeff Sessions and how he was running the Justice Department. The only reason he was fired and he was being attacked is because of the Mueller investigation. So I think this is all political. It's all Trump trying to protect himself, and the attack on the FISA warrants as well is political.